To talk to you about tables in InDesign. Tables are a really powerful tool that can convert this jumble of text into this kind of table. So you can see that everything is aligned in a column or row, and there's all kinds of formatting going on here. If we zoom in, you can see that they're alternating background colors and stroke widths and colors. There's all kinds of stuff going on in here. So let's go back to our raw text, and I'm going to show you how this works. We're already in a text frame here. I have some type that I've put on a page in InDesign, and you can see, if I zoom in, that there are a whole pile of tabs in here. So this is actually quite important, and they're all in there very intentionally. Each one of them will represent a column in our table. So I'm going to try and position this properly here. So what we're going to do is convert this into a table. So it's really important that your type is formatted properly to start with, that these tabs are in there to represent every table, or I should say every column. So what I'm going to do is select all my text. So I put my cursor in the text and do Command A. And what I'm simply going to do is go to the table menu and say convert text to table. So here we go. So it knows there's tabs in there. It's going to say take every tab and turn it into a column, and take every line and turn it into a row. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and we get a basic table like this. If I hit the W key, we get into preview mode, and you can see that everything is formatted here. So there's a couple of little hiccups in here, but we'll be able to fix it pretty easily. So we're going to format things a little bit. So what the first thing we need to know is that everything you do to a table, you do with the type tool selected. It's really a text element. It's treated as a paragraph in a text frame. So what we're going to do to start with, if I jump over to my other document, you can see that the first column is really wide. Okay, so everything is on one line in the first column. In this one, it's not. So what I'm going to do is take my type tool, hover over the first column edge, and then stretch it out. Okay, so I can just physically move things like that by dragging them around and do everything manually if I want to. So we can see out here on the right that it's gotten a lot too wide. So what I'm going to do is, again with my type tool selected, drag from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm starting in the second column. I'm hovering my mouse inside, I'm not clicking, but I'm hovering my mouse inside the cell, and then I click and drag all the way to the bottom right. So now what I'm going to do, I think the easiest way to do this is to grab my table palette, which is under the window menu, and go to my column width and make each of these columns that I have selected less, or narrower I should say, less wide. So I'm going to hold the shift key and hit down on here to go down to 4 picas. And I think I can drag this column in just a little bit. Let's go a little bit narrower. There we go. So I'm at almost 4 picas here. I'll move this out of the way, and we can see that this all fits nicely. Again, here's a preview. It all fits nicely inside of the width of my margins. So now what we want to do is style this table. So what I'm going to do is select the table. So here's another key here, is that I have always have my type tool selected. If I hover my mouse at the head of each, at the top of any of the columns, my cursor turns into a down arrow, and if I click, it selects that whole column. Same thing goes with rows. If I hover on the outside, only on the left, it selects the whole row. If I hover over to the right, that allows me to widen the table, which I'm just going to undo because I don't want to do that. And same goes with the bottom. I can widen a row. Okay, so that's how you grab the whole thing. So I'm going to hover over the top left corner, right in the corner. It turns my cursor into a diagonal arrow, and now when I click, it selects the whole table. So now what I'm going to do is bring up my table styles palette, because tables can be styled with the same kind of thing as a paragraph style. So I'm going to go Window, Styles, and choose Table Styles. Okay, so now this brings up these palettes. I have table styles and cell styles, because this would be the equivalent of a paragraph style and a character style. Exactly the same concept. So I'm going to create a new table style here. So I always, whenever I click on this icon, on this new icon, I always hold Option. So in doing that, it comes up right away, and I'm going to call this Al's Table Style. And I'm going to go through the different things here. So I can't cover all of this in the podcast, but I suggest you go through here and look at what you can do with a table, with table style. So table setup here dictates the border is the one that goes all the way outside the perimeter of the table. So let's just make it really thick, just for the heck of it, so that we can really see it. Okay? It's black. I can decrease the tint if I want, so I've just made it 50% black. I'm going to go to fills and choose an alternating pattern. So I'm going to say every other row is going to be 20% yellow. So it's going to give me a nice little yellow. And I'm going to say skip the first row so that it leaves the title of the table alone. Okay, and then let's try column strokes. I'm going to turn them on and I'm going to say every other stroke. Every other column. So now this has chosen some settings for me right away. It's here you have a 1 point stroke, and then the next column is going to have a 1/4 point stroke. So it just goes through. Let's make the thicker stroke lighter. So those are barely going to show. So that's it. So I don't want to skip anything. Let's just get out of this and see what this has done to our table. I'm going to click OK and actually click on the style here to apply it to our table. So once I've done that, you could see that it applied in the background. And what we're going to do is I'm going to hit W on the keyboard, and it's important to do that when you don't have your cursor in the text. I'm going to hit W and we go to our preview mode, and I'm going to zoom in here, and we can see what it's done. It's done those alternating. Here's my 1/4 point stroke, my thicker stroke that's gray, and then alternating yellow backgrounds. So everything is styled here. So I'll zoom back in. Now there's a little problem here. These words plans are at the wrong place. So I'm simply going to highlight them by dragging with my type tool. I'm going to do Command X to cut them, and I'm going to select the cells that I want those words to be in. If I don't select, it's not going to work properly. And then I'm going to do paste, and then those words got pasted in there at the right place. So that's how I move things in columns. I select them, cut, and then select the contents of the other cell and paste. So now we have this style all set up. There are tons more functions in here, but this gives you an idea. So I just want to show you something here. This is all getting styled this quickly. I'm actually going to delete all of that content, and I'm going to go to my text and copy it and put it back in just to show you the power of this. If I paste, all I need to do, watch this, is select this. I'm starting over here. Select all of the text, go table, convert to table, just say yes to this. Actually, I can even watch this. I can even go convert to table and apply the style right away. So I'm going to apply Al's table style. So look at that. It got styled right on the fly. So I'm going to widen this column the way it's supposed to be. Whoa. Let me zoom back in here. Widen the column just wide enough. Okay, we'll zoom back out a bit. And look at that. The table is all styled in one go. We have the whole thing done. So as you can see, the style doesn't pick up the width. So I have to do that manually. There you go. My table is done just like the other one was in only a few clicks. It's really straightforward. Table styles can really save your life. So if I were doing a whole annual report, all my tables would look super consistent simply by clicking on Al's table style. They'd all get the alternating strokes and fills and everything. So this is the first podcast on tables. I hope it helps you out. I'm going to do more of them because there are so many options with tables. But always remember that they all, when you convert text to table, it depends on the text that you have to start with. Make sure your columns all line up properly. I hope this helps. I hope you have fun with tables and InDesign.